The number one question we get, how far can you go on your electric motor? Well, that's a pretty tricky question because there's a lot of things that you got to take into account. Like, are you towing anything behind you? Where is the wind coming from? Is it a headwind, a tailwind, blowing on your beam? How strong is the wind? How big is your battery bank? What state of charge was your battery when you left? Is there any current? Is it pushing you or is it against you? Do you have any extra power coming in, like solar? Is your hull clean? But that's what we're gonna try to answer today.
If you don't already know, here's what we're working with. Saoirse is a 1971 35-foot Pearson with a sloop rig. She has a 13,000-pound fiberglass displacement hull and a full keel shoal draft with less than 4 feet submerged in the water. The 10-kilowatt Mott Energy 1115 brushless electric motor is 92% efficient and can bring our boat to haul speed at max power. We have 4 48-volt, 96-amp-hour Dakota lithium iron phosphate batteries wired in parallel for a total of 384 amp-hours.
We are traveling from Finca Paraiso back to the Rio Dulce. We're gonna maintain a 4-knot average and just motor the whole way. We left with a battery state of charge at 70%.
Today on Lake Isabel, it is very, very calm with practically no wind and no noticeable current. So we had an amazing time with our friends down in the waterfalls. We actually went to a canyon and did some tubing. That was a lot of fun. It's just interesting because I think a lot of people come to Guatemala and then they leave. They go into a marina and they maybe go back home for the season, but there's so much to do here. So when you come to Guatemala, make sure you check out everything because the locals are amazing. The landscape's amazing. It's just such a beautiful place, and we're making the most of it this season for sure. I read something recently that it said sailors often overestimate how much they are actually going to use their motor, and statistically they say it's going to be about 15%. For us, I'm going to guess probably 2 to 5%. So typically we use our motor to get in and out of anchorage, off of the dock, going down rivers like the Rio Dulce and also even Okeechobee Waterway in Florida. Whereas even if we do have the motor use, we will raise our sails. Oh, also in the Dismal Swamp area in Virginia.
Yeah. Don't forget about narrow, shallow passages like the, what was it, Ocracoke passage
In
and
North Carolina.
Yeah, in North Carolina, and Prime Key in the Exumas. That was really bad, and there's no way we would have been able to get in there without the motor.
And then also, for example, things like when a storm is approaching and we have time to outrun it or move a different direction, we'll use it then. But the reason we have our motor is because we just wanted it to be a simple living. We love sailing, and that 2 to 5% of using our motor does not bother us. We love the sailing aspect of it.
It is super low maintenance. It's super simple to troubleshoot and figure out, like the alignment issue I just had. But yeah, it didn't take long to identify the problem and fix it. We just dropped down the throttle speed, so now we're going about 3.2 knots, so we reduced it a knot, and we drastically reduced our power consumption. We're only burning 1 kilowatt hour, whereas before we were burning 2.2. So it just goes to show you that with an electric motor, the slower, the further. And we've already known this just from sailing around for 8 years with the electric motor, but that's just one point to keep in the back of your mind if you are considering to go electric.
Ours is so light that I can even pick it up and take it out. So if we have something where we need to abandon our ship, you know, not in the middle of the ocean, but just on dock, and we actually had a hurricane once threatening us, so we took out the motor and left. But yeah, we really enjoy having our electric motor. Plus the smells, there's no diesel. We can have pretty much infinite range. Sorry guys, I gotta put my sunnies on. It is super bright out, and we just painted our decks, if you've noticed, and they are extra reflective. But a lot of people have asked, why do we go electric in the first place? I have to say that it was me, because I have a high sensitivity to smells, especially diesel. The only experience I had with diesel before we got Sailboat was motorboats, sailboats that would only motor. So I kind of had a bad taste in my mouth for it. So we decided, let's go electric. Sailboat had a deceased motor to begin with, so we pulled her out, and yeah, we threw in the electric, and we have not regretted it since.
When we left in 2018, we left with a DIY motor setup that was on its first, maybe second iteration. So we didn't know or understand much about the electric motor. It was good enough for then, but we did do a little bit of testing to get an understanding of the range. And since then, we have gone through many, many iterations. So now we changed out our coupler, which helped reduce a lot of slop, because before we had a chain sprocket setup, which allowed the shaft to wobble up and down. We also realigned the shaft. We got a new 16-inch very prop, feathering prop.
Oh, there's another thing that we added, the reducer.
Oh yeah,
added transmission.
That's true. Yeah, now we have a reducer, belt driven, versus the old Hearth transmission that we were reusing. So that's helped actually reduce some friction. On top of all the mechanical changes we made to the motor, we also did a lot of work to the hull. Just fairing it alone has helped us glide through the water in a more efficient way. And I think the biggest factor is sealing up that centerboard, because that was just creating a lot of turbulence and slowing us way down.
For the past couple of years, if you remember, when we got launched in Curacao, the slings pushed up our anti-fouling. So we had, you know, about this much paint just dragging along. Millimeters can affect the efficiency of your sailing and the speed of your boat. So we're so grateful for the months that Beau spent sanding and grinding and fairing and sanding that hull.
It was a lot of work, but definitely worth it. Anchor is down.
We made it.
We've been chilling for a couple hours.
We needed a rest.
Yeah, and I had to crunch some figures and get an idea of what kind of range we actually can get, because that's why you guys are here. You're curious.
And I was surprised by some of these numbers, to be honest.
Yeah, it's way better than I was hoping for. And when we did do this test way back when, we had a smaller battery bank. It was about 50 amps smaller.
I think we used to tell people that we could go 5 knots for 12 miles.
Yeah.
That was always what I tell people.
Yep, that was like
With
our max.
No current, no wind, like the most perfect conditions that you can get.
But that's really pounding it. Like with that, 5 was pushing the motor. So right now we're going for our most ideal range, because I haven't calculated what our top, like if we were to go hull speed, I don't know how far we can get. I honestly don't think I would try to go hull speed for an extended period of time.
Unless it was a super emergency or something.
Yeah, if we need to run it like that for like 10, 15 minutes, great, but I wouldn't want to run it for hours on end.
But if you didn't catch the episode, we have calculated that we are able to go to hull speed with this boat now because of the prop. Right?
Yeah.
So now we are able to go 6.7 knots.
Yep, 6.7.
At full speed.
Yeah, I am super happy and surprised about that.
We were never able to do it before.
This prop has really changed everything for us.
All right, so let's break down some of the numbers.
All right, so we split up this trip. The trip overall took 12.2 nautical miles to get here. 7.1 of those nautical miles, we were going 4.2 knots. So all in all, if we had a completely full battery, which is 384 amp hours.
At 48 volts.
At 48 volts, which roughly works out to be 18.4 kilowatt hours, then we could, and we fully discharged it. That's like leaving zero in the bank. We could go 44 nautical miles. That's pretty
crazy.
Good. Yeah, that's pretty good at 4.2 knots, I think, personally.
Yep.
But if we were to just put or leave 10% in the batteries, then we could go 40 nautical miles, which is still really good.
Yeah.
The rest of the trip, which we're calling our second leg, we went 5.1 nautical miles at 3 knots. So at that speed, a full battery bank that was fully discharged, we would be able to go 110 nautical miles.
That is mind-blowing.
Yeah, that's really good.
I mean, now also, we do have to make a caveat here. That's in perfect conditions.
Yes.
No current, no wind, nothing on our hull dragging us down. Actually, our friends Brian and Holly on Half Blind drug our dinghy behind, and they said it took about a half a knot off of their speed. So all of this being calculations.
Yeah, there's a lot of factors that go into this. So these are really ideal conditions.
And we would never really want to be getting into an anchorage with only
like zero battery bank. But even at 10% battery reserve is 99 nautical miles. Yeah. So it's really good. Typically with our battery bank being lithium, I don't want to go anything below 30%, and that's being conservative. Most of the time you can probably get away with 20%, but I like to stay in the range of 30% and up to 80%. I don't like fully charging our batteries just because you shorten their lifespan.
So to answer the question, how far can you go on your electric motor? Actually, it's kind of unlimited. As long as we have the patience and the sunshine, we can get there. And the range is pretty unlimited.
Yeah, as long as we have sun coming in, and most of the places that we sail, it's pretty sunny.
Yeah. And we want to keep it that way. So having an electric motor fits us perfectly. So I hope you enjoyed this episode and you learned a bunch, because we sure did. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
See you in the next one.